Welcome to the Prepperverse. I'm Doc JMO. Today we're going to continue our discussion into the 7 essential items that you must have in your bug out bag. If you're at any time, depending on the situation, needing to get out of the situation that you're in, you can grab a bag and go, and that will sustain you for approximately 72 hours. Hence the bug out bag, we affectionately call it the Bob. So today we're going to cover 2 items. We're going to discuss navigation and signaling, and then that will leave us just the medical to cover to wrap that up, but that will be in a separate video. So navigation and signaling for today. In the event you have to leave your location and hopefully you would have a predetermined place, a safe haven, if you will, if you need to go. If you just absolutely find that it's not safe to stay where you're at and you need to go, you need to bug out, you need to have thought about that beforehand. So one of the things that you need is a map. And written directions or what have you to guide you from where you're at to where you want to be. Now, especially when there's a large distance involved. Say, if I were to leave here and go to my bug out location, that may take a couple days, 2 or 3 days to get to. So what you're going to need is a map or several maps. And maps are a dime a dozen. You can get them. Road atlases work well, especially if you're going across several states. But it's good to have it mapped out and along with alternate locations or alternate routes in the event that your main route is not passable. You can't go there. So you need to have several different routes to get to where you need to go. And it's a very good idea as well to travel each of those routes so you get familiar with them, know where the crossings are if you have to cross a river, fields, how to do so stealthily. Now, it's always a good idea if you're having to go on foot, if you have to leave your vehicle at any point, don't travel the roads. The roads are not necessarily a safe place to be. So you want to have that all mapped out and predetermined before you go. Have the maps. You want a hard copy, and you don't want to rely on the maps on your phone or the GPS in the event that you lose battery power, you can't charge it up, or the cell service goes down, or GPS for whatever reason. You want to have a hard copy. Now, in that case, you're going to need a compass as well, and a class or some knowledge of how to orient your map towards the compass. So that's something else that we're not going to get into in this video, but that's something you can look up pretty easily. And it's a good idea to get practice at doing that as well. And you could go to a local golf course after hours and play around, set some things up, some objectives to try and find, or out at a state or a national park that you can go play around on. Get some practice, grab your family or grab your friends, and it's a lot of fun. You know, practice some orienteering, and you just make an event if you wanted to, which is a good idea. Compasses, I have 2 compasses. Actually, I have more than that, but 2 primarily that I use, and I do like one better than the other. Now, compasses aren't they're not really expensive, so you can spend the money and get a decent one that would serve you well. The first compass that I have is just a military compass. You've probably seen these before. This is the actual one from the military, and it is a Kamenga. Now, I've bought several of these in the past, and they come in different versions. This version here has the tritium in it, so you don't really need the charge. I had one also before that is one that you did need to charge, shine a light on it. Now, my preference on those two. This is the one that has the tritium. It's not my favorite because it's a little bit more difficult to read at night, though it lights up. But it is kind of dull, but it's also blurry, so it's hard to get a good finding, good direction on that. Versus the other that are like this, that it's not tritium. You got to hit it with a light, but when you do, I mean, it just takes like a second, and it lights up, and it's clear and it's bright, and you can really get good readings on it. Now these also have has the ruler on the side, so you can get some measurements and kind of plan alternative routes or keep you on your route. So it's a good one. It's a little weighty. I like to, since I've been moving more ultralight, I've gone to something a little bit less dense, if you will. But this is a good one, and you can find them out there pretty cheap. Toss that one aside. The one that I do use quite a bit, it's the Silva Ranger. This is the Ranger version. It has like a little protective cap on it. It as well has a lot of markings and rulers on it to use on your map. It also has a swivel bezel, and it also has the mirror inside, which is if you're taking aim at something, you can angle it down so you can get you can kind of hold it like that, and you can see the direction and identify your next waypoint, and the distance. So this is a really good one that I like. It feels really good in the hand. It has a little bit of weight, but not a lot, and it's not one of those cheapo things that's just gonna break unless you step on it. But anyway, get a compass if you don't already have one. Learn how to use it. Learn how to use it with your map and orient the map towards the compass. It's vital. Take a class on it. It's well worth it. Now, along with the mapping out your routes, knowing where you're going, it's also a good idea, especially if you're more than just a couple days away from your bug out location, is if you've traveled it and you scouted it out, identify some places and consider putting some stashes. Put a cache, actually, is the appropriate word. Put a cache along your way, and you can have a bucket with some food, some water, some medical. You could stagger them. You could have one with food on this location, water. The next one you could have some like medical supplies or prescription drugs or what have you, or have another one that has some extra clothes or socks or rain gear. You can vary it up, but consider that too. If you have your route identified, think about putting caches out as well, and then write on a notebook or something and keep that hard copy as to where they're at. Now, I've done an exercise with PJ over at Viking Preparedness a while back, and we actually did that. We hid caches, and then we drew up a map of where it was, and then we switched it to the next person who didn't know where it was, and they were to go out and find it, and then they gave me theirs, and I was to go out and find their cache. And what we discovered is you can't get detailed enough. I mean, write down a lot of detail to where your cache is placed, because that definitely helps, especially if you're not looking for your own cache, if you're looking for somebody else's, a family member or friend. It makes it a whole lot easier. So, and that's something else you can practice as well, as a group or a mutual aid group. If you're doing some collective training, that's very well worth your time. So get familiar with the map and your compass and routes, and it's a lot of fun. Make it fun, but it's a vital aspect to have in your prep training as well. Okay, so moving from navigation into signaling. I'm just going to cover signaling just really quick. There's many different ways that you can signal, and the idea there is to get the attention of someone else. If you're down and you're hurt and you're needing to find, get that help, and you know somebody's out there, or what, different circumstances. If you're trying to stay stealthy, then that makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you're hurt enough and you're not worried about being stealthy, you just want it signaling, then there's different, different things you can do. But I'm just going to cover a few. And there's a really good resource. There's a book, The Survivalist Family, Prepared Americans for a Strong America. I highly recommend it, written by Joe Fox. Pick it up on Amazon. I've studied that book in and out. It's excellent. It's helped me with my preparedness. You can grab, excuse me for reaching over, anything for signaling. You carry something bright in your pack in case you need to wave it, or you can make a flag. It's a very good idea. It works well. And get a bright color, because that's more easily seen. This is close to a blaze orange, not quite, but it's close, but it serves the same purpose. The other thing that you can use is a whistle. Now, on my compasses and on my bug out bags, I have a whistle, and that's another way of getting somebody's attention. Now, in this compass here, this is why I like this compass as well, because you can signal with a mirror. You could even shine, if the sun's not out, or if it's a night, you could use, a flashlight or what have you, to cause that reflection. Headlights, you can signal with headlights. You could do the SOS signaling. Hopefully you can catch their attention. If you don't have any of those, the bottom of a Coke can works well. If you just polish it up, a little spit and dirt, just polish it up, gets kind of bright. You can reflect the sun and hopefully get somebody's attention there as well. If you need to signal big time, make a fire. Fire will cause, some smoke and get somebody's attention, especially at night, with the light. But in the daytime, if you're needing help, you can create a fire, and then you can do, you put a bunch of leaves and branches and big sticks on to cause a big fire, something that's going to cause a lot of smoke. So the smoke can act as signaling as well. So there's many different options that I haven't covered and you can use for signaling, but those are just a few, just to get your thinking, get those juices flowing, and make sure you include those into your bob. So anyway, with this video, I believe that's all that I wanted to cover. The next video I'll be making will be covering medical. So get out there, practice. Like I've said before, don't make any excuses to do it. Get out there and do it, because we don't necessarily have the luxury of time, depending on different circumstances or what may arise with things that are going on in the world today. But this is just the basics, hopefully to help get you started to get things together and come up with a plan. So with that, we'll talk to you later.